A powerful storm is about to impact the United States, and this is going to bring some significant problems. This includes the risk of snowfall across areas like the Midwest, the Ohio Valley, and the Northeast. Additionally, the coldest weather that we've seen since March will be affecting a large majority of the lower 48, including areas like Florida. So, in today's forecast, we're going to break down exactly what you need to know about the weather that will be impacting the United States over the next 7 days. And we'll begin with what's happening across the country today. Right now, we have a small storm system that is making its way out of the United States. This brought a little bit of severe weather yesterday to Kentucky and Tennessee. Aside from maybe one brief tornado, this was a pretty low-end storm event that occurred. For the most part, just a lot of rain up and down the East Coast here over the last 24 hours. But really, the big story is this system right here, our new storm system that is making its way across the Dakotas and Montana this morning. This will make its way into the Ohio Valley and the Midwest later today. It's about to bring a lot of snowfall to areas right along the Great Lakes and also the first snowfall of the season for millions of you, stretching from the Dakotas back into Iowa and Illinois and even across the Northeast. And once this storm system gets far enough down to the south, we're going to see a lot of Arctic air spilling into the Great Plains, all across the East Coast as we go into late Sunday and Monday. So, some of the coldest weather of the season is coming, and on top of that, a lot of snow is on the way for some of you. But the big story this week is this significant dip in the jet stream that we are about to experience across the United States. This is very reminiscent of a weather pattern that we would typically see in February or even in January. This is not something that you see very often in November. But what's going to happen over the next couple of days is that we are going to see a major dip in the jet stream. This is a very intense southerly flow that's going to be coming right out of Canada on Sunday, and that's going to transport all sorts of cold air from Canada all the way down towards the Gulf Coast. This will primarily be a risk for late Sunday and Monday for many of you across the United States. This right here is a very large low-pressure system sitting right over the Great Lakes. And notice as we go into Monday and Tuesday, that dip in the jet stream is going to get even more intense as it moves right along the East Coast. So, we are expecting well below average temperatures to impact a large majority of the lower 48. That's mainly going to be east of the Rocky Mountains. Though, if you're west of the Rockies, we're actually going to have a ridge building. So, if you're back over on the west coast, you're not going to see this cold weather. It's going to actually be above average for temperatures over the next few days. But with this storm system, below average temperatures and our first snowfall of the season are ahead, and we could even see some record-breaking low temperatures in some areas. Now, you should be prepared to have your winter jackets ready to go because we are about to see some very frigid weather across much of the United States over the next few days. It looks like tonight and into early tomorrow, we're going to have a lot of that cold air settling in across the Midwest and the central and northern plains. This chill is coming straight down from Canada, so some very cold air is on the way for us. In many areas, the temperature will drop by as much as 30 degrees in just 12 to 24 hours. So, it's going to get cold in a hurry. By late Sunday and into early Monday, all that cold air is going to push its way down toward the Gulf Coast, with the chilliest temperatures sitting right over the Midwest and even into the lower Mississippi Valley, where it could feel up to 30 degrees colder than normal. On Monday, that cold air will arrive down in the southeast. Take a look at this. Some spots could be as much as 30 to 35 degrees below average on Monday morning. This could even bring a few snow flurries to places like Tennessee and Kentucky. And here's a fun thought. Tennessee might actually see a little snow on Monday. Denver, Colorado, hasn't had any measurable snow just yet. So, if that happens, it would be the first time in history that Nashville has seen snow before Denver. That's a little something we'll be keeping an eye on this Monday. Then, as we go into early Tuesday, all of that chilly air will be draped over the East Coast. And then by Wednesday and Thursday, most of that cold should be on its way out. We will still have a dip in the weather pattern across the Midwest and the Northeast by the end of next week, which just means this cooler air is going to hang around for a bit. But some warmer, above-average temperatures should make a welcome return across the Great Plains by next weekend. Now, over the next couple of days, we're going to see some pretty cold weather. Let's take a look at the actual temperatures for Sunday morning. The freezing line will make its way down into central Kansas and all the way over into northern Illinois as well. Now, this is pretty typical for this time of year, but what isn't so typical is what we're going to see on Monday. Our freezing line is going to travel all the way down into central Texas and even into parts of central Mississippi on Monday. Now, to be honest, this has happened before, but it's certainly coming a little bit ahead of schedule. Usually, the first freeze in North Texas doesn't arrive until around the middle to the end of November. So, we're a little early on that. But what will be most unusual about this weather system is what happens Tuesday morning. We are going to see the chance of freezing temperatures reaching all the way down into central and northern Florida. Now that right there is extremely rare. We actually have the potential to break almost 24 records across Florida alone on Tuesday for just how cold it will be. So, that is something we'll talk more about in just a moment. But notice how those freezing temperatures will also cover most of Georgia, Alabama, and Mississippi. And the folks who will feel this the most are our farmers. If you have any delicate plants or flowers, please make sure you're protecting them. And if you have any pets, please be sure to bring them indoors on these nights because it will definitely be cold out there, especially Monday and Tuesday morning. So, this weather system is going to set a whole lot of new records. This one, for example, shows Monday afternoon's high temperatures. These are record-breaking cold daytime highs. So, places like western Florida will feel quite chilly, only getting up to about 55 degrees. And if you're in parts of Ohio, Kentucky, or eastern Tennessee, you'll want to bundle up, as it'll only be in the mid-30s. So, a real chill is in the air. But the time to really watch out for is Tuesday morning. We're looking at temperatures so low, they might set new records for the 11th. For example, our friends in Knoxville could wake up to just 24 degrees on Tuesday morning. Even down in central Florida and along the coast, it's going to be surprisingly cold. Orlando might dip down to around 38 degrees, with Jacksonville at a chilly 34 and Savannah at 28. That is some truly cold weather, my friends. And then as we head into the afternoon, let's talk about the high temperatures you can expect across Florida and even into Georgia and South Carolina. Now, these daytime highs are so low, they might set records. We're talking about the 60s in Florida and only reaching the 50s in southeastern South Carolina. So, as you can see, we have some unusual weather settling in. Now, on top of this record-setting cold, we're also keeping an eye on the possibility of some snow over the next few days. So, let's take a closer look at that. And just a quick reminder, you can see the time right up in the top left corner of your screen. Here's what things look like this morning. We're already seeing some snow falling across North Dakota, with some steadier pockets of snow moving through northwestern Iowa right now, as well as northeastern Nebraska and the very southwestern corner of Minnesota. As we get closer to lunchtime, that snow is going to keep moving eastward. You can expect some light to moderate snow to continue across central Iowa and southern Wisconsin. I think it's mostly going to be a wet, slushy kind of snow. It'll probably be a mix of rain and snow for many of you. So don't expect a lot of that pretty fluffy snow. It's more likely to be the slushy kind. Now, a few spots might get about 1 to 2 inches on the ground, but we're not expecting anything major from this. Then, as we head into tonight, that snow will start to move into southern Wisconsin and northern Illinois. For our friends in the Windy City, I expect it will start as rain and then briefly change over to some snow. It doesn't look like much, if any, will stick to the ground in Chicago, though. As we go through the overnight hours and into early tomorrow morning, the snow will be spread out across parts of Canada as well as northern Indiana and southern Michigan. On Sunday, we're likely to see some lake-effect snow as the storm system moves over Pennsylvania and New York. And as that system keeps pulling away to the northeast, it's going to pull in some strong winds from the north, which will pick up moisture from the Great Lakes, and that's what will create more snow for far northern Indiana, northern Ohio, and western New York all through Sunday and Monday. As we get into late Sunday and early Monday, that snow will keep coming down, and we could see some pretty heavy bands of lake-effect snow coming off Lake Michigan. This will mainly affect the far western parts of Michigan and far northern Indiana. On Monday morning, don't be surprised to see some snowflakes flying in places like eastern Kentucky and eastern Tennessee. We might even see a few flurries near Nashville. Then, as we go through Monday morning, the snow will continue, especially for northwest Indiana and western Michigan. A decent amount of snow is also possible across Ohio and West Virginia. Finally, by late Monday night and into early Tuesday, that snow will begin to taper off for our friends in Michigan and Indiana. But we're about to see that lake effect snow machine fire up again over in western New York and northwestern Pennsylvania, as well as northeastern Ohio. And that snow is just going to keep piling up all through Tuesday and even into the early hours of Wednesday. All right, so let's talk totals. Here's a look at how much snow we're expecting this system to drop over the next couple of days. We're forecasting heavy snow in about 3 distinct zones. The first one we're watching is northwest Indiana and southwest Michigan. This looks like it could be a jackpot zone, with totals pushing upwards of 6 to even 12 inches of snow. I wouldn't be surprised to see a few isolated spots get buried under closer to 18 inches of snow. It all really depends on whether that lake effect snow band stays put and keeps dumping. Then, looking over to far northeastern Ohio and stretching into western New York, particularly just south of Buffalo, that's where I expect the heaviest accumulations to top out around 6 to 7 inches of snow. And another spot to watch is far western New York, near Watertown, which is another area that will likely see something in the ballpark of 6 to 12 inches. Now, I don't think we'll see much in the way of accumulation for most of central and southern Ohio or Kentucky. I believe those forecasts are a bit overestimated. You might see some snow flurries and maybe a light dusting on elevated surfaces, but that's about it. Getting any real, measurable accumulation is going to be a long shot. And once we move past this winter weather event in the next couple of days, things are really going to quiet down for most of the United States as we head into next week. A big high-pressure system is going to take charge, dominating the weather pattern basically all across the Great Plains and down into the southeast. We'll still see some lingering snow, at least between Monday and about Friday, across parts of the far upper Midwest and also over in the Northeast. So don't be shocked if you see flakes flying for a few days there, as that colder air is going to stick around for a bit. Then, looking ahead to next weekend, that's when I think we'll start to see a major uptick in atmospheric river events. We're talking about large, low-pressure systems rolling onto the West Coast, and they'll be dumping a whole lot of rain and snow. And once some of that Pacific moisture makes its way over the Rockies, that's our cue for the next round of big storm systems to start moving into the rest of the U.S. Exactly what those storms will do, where they'll track, whether they'll bring severe weather or a bunch of snow. Well, that's all still up in the air, since we're looking at something more than 7 days out. But that's definitely the pattern we'll be keeping a close eye on as we head into the next couple of weeks of November. And as always, thanks so much for tuning in to today's forecast. If you're new here, do us a favor and hit that subscribe button down below. And just as a quick reminder, we've got our 67 sale happening over at shopmaxvelocity.net. If you use the code 067, you'll get 67 cents off any order. And if you use the code 670, you'll get $6.70 off any order over $67. You can check it all out again at shopmaxvelocity.net. Our new Happy Holidays collection is live, along with our Supercell merch and a whole bunch of other cool items. This is all perfect stuff for stocking stuffers and Christmas gifts. So go check it out. The link is right at the top of the description below.